Deep within us lies a hidden world, a world we often fear to explore. It is the world of our shadow self, the darker aspects of our personality. We all have one. It is a part of what makes us human. But why do we fear it? Why do we try to hide it? The answers, like the shadow itself, are complex and fascinating. We may fear our shadow because it holds our perceived flaws, our anger, our jealousy, our selfishness. We worry that if we acknowledge these parts of ourselves, we will become bad people. But what if I told you that embracing our shadow is not about becoming bad, but about becoming whole? The renowned psychologist Jung believed just that. He saw the shadow not as something to be feared, but as an integral part of our psyche. By confronting and integrating our shadow, Jung argued, we could unlock our true potential and live more fulfilling lives. Jung was a pioneer in psychology. He delved into the depths of the human mind, likening our personality to an iceberg. The conscious mind is just the tip. Beneath lies the powerful unconscious, home to the shadow. It holds aspects we deem unacceptable. Ignoring our shadow can lead to negative consequences. By accepting it, we integrate it into our conscious selves. This leads to self-awareness, compassion, and wholeness. Imagine a vast, dimly lit forest. This forest represents your unconscious mind. Deep within, hidden in the shadows, lies your shadow self. It is a complex collection of all the parts of yourself that you have pushed away. These rejected parts can be negative traits like anger, jealousy, and greed, to positive qualities like assertiveness, creativity, and sensuality. The shadow is an integral part of who you are, like a hidden room in a house. As children, we express ourselves freely without a filter. We laugh, cry, rage, and love with equal intensity. But as we grow, we internalize messages from parents and society. Certain behaviors are praised, others punished. We construct an acceptable self-image, pushing down parts that don't fit, relegating them to the shadows. The more we suppress our shadow, the stronger it becomes. The shadow is a master of disguise. It rarely reveals itself directly. Instead, it manifests in our lives in subtle and often confusing ways. We might find ourselves projecting our shadow onto others, seeing in them the very qualities we deny in ourselves. For example, if you have repressed anger, you might be quick to judge and criticize others who express their anger openly. Or if you have pushed down your own insecurities, you might be drawn to people who are overly confident and self-assured, envying them for possessing the traits you have disowned. The shadow can also manifest in our dreams, our slips of the tongue, and our impulsive behaviors. These seemingly random occurrences are often the shadow's way of trying to communicate with us, to get our attention. By paying attention to these subtle signs and symbols, we can begin to understand the language of our shadow and what it is trying to tell us. We often misunderstand the shadow. We see it as purely negative, a source of shame and fear. But the shadow is not inherently bad. It is simply a part of us holding both darkness and light. Our shadow can manifest in negative ways. Anger, jealousy, and resentment can fester in the darkness. These feelings can lead to destructive behaviors if left unchecked. We might lash out at others, sabotage our own success, or engage in self-destructive habits. However, these negative manifestations are often cries for help, signals that something is out of balance. They are the shadow's way of getting our attention, urging us to look within and address the root cause of our pain. Beneath the surface of these negative emotions often lie unmet needs, unprocessed wounds, or suppressed desires. Anger might mask a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. Jealousy might stem from a lack of self-worth. By understanding the underlying motivations of our shadow, we can begin to heal and transform. Why do we fear our shadow so much? The unknown can be a scary place. We cling to the familiar, the comfortable, the parts of ourselves we deem acceptable. To explore our shadow is to venture into uncharted territory, to confront the parts of ourselves we have tried so hard to deny. We fear judgment, both from ourselves and from others. We worry that if we acknowledge our shadow, We will be seen as weak, flawed, or even dangerous. This fear of exposure keeps us trapped in a cycle of denial and repression. But what if I told you that embracing our shadow is not about becoming a worse version of ourselves, but about becoming more whole? It is about acknowledging the full spectrum of our humanity, the light and the dark, the good and the bad. When we deny our shadow, we cut ourselves off from a vital part of who we are. We limit our potential for growth, creativity, and authentic connection. To live a truly fulfilling life, we must learn to befriend our shadow, to integrate it into our conscious awareness. The shadow is not just a repository for our unwanted traits, it also holds immense potential for growth and transformation. Within the shadow lie our hidden talents, our suppressed passions, our deepest desires. By embracing our shadow, we unlock these hidden treasures and tap into our full potential. Our shadow challenges us to confront our limitations and step outside of our comfort zones. It pushes us to grow, to evolve, to become more than we ever thought possible. For example, a person who has always been shy and reserved might discover a hidden talent for public speaking once they confront their fear of judgment. A person who has suppressed their creativity might find a renewed sense of purpose and joy when they allow themselves to explore their artistic side. The shadow is also the source of our intuition, our creativity, and our connection to something greater than ourselves. By integrating our shadow, we gain access to a deeper level of wisdom and understanding. Confronting our shadow is not about condoning or indulging in our negative impulses. It is about bringing them into the light of consciousness, where we can understand and transform them. It is about recognizing that our shadow is a part of us, but it does not define us. This process of integration is not easy. It requires courage, compassion, and a willingness to face our deepest fears. But the rewards are immeasurable. By embracing our shadow, we free ourselves from the chains of denial and step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. Imagine a mosaic, a work of art made from countless fragments of colored glass. Each piece on its own may seem insignificant, but when assembled together, they create a beautiful and intricate whole. This is the essence of the integrated self. When we embrace our shadow, we gather those fragmented pieces of ourselves. We acknowledge the good and the bad, the light and the dark. We stop judging ourselves so harshly and start accepting ourselves for who we truly are. This integration does not erase our shadow. It simply allows us to relate to it differently. We no longer fear it or try to suppress it. Instead, we learn to listen to its messages and understand its wisdom. The integrated self is not a finished product. It is an ongoing process of self-discovery and growth. As we evolve, so too does our shadow. New challenges arise and new aspects of ourselves emerge from the depths. This constant evolution is what makes life interesting and meaningful. Acceptance is the key to integrating our shadow. When we accept our shadow, we stop fighting against ourselves. We stop trying to be someone we are not. This acceptance brings a sense of peace and wholeness. Self-acceptance is not about condoning negative behavior. It is about recognizing that we are all imperfect beings, capable of both great and terrible things. It is about extending the same compassion and understanding to ourselves that we would offer to a loved one. When we accept our shadow, we free up an enormous amount of energy that was previously spent on denial and repression. This energy can then be channeled into more creative and fulfilling pursuits. Moreover, self-acceptance allows us to connect with others on a deeper level. When we are comfortable with our own shadow, we are less likely to judge others for theirs. We become more tolerant, compassionate, and forgiving. Life is a dance between light and shadow. There is no escaping either one. To live a full and meaningful life, we must embrace both. Our shadow is not our enemy, but our partner in this dance. The shadow challenges us to grow, to evolve, to become more than we thought possible. It pushes us outside our comfort zones and forces us to confront our limitations. This process can be uncomfortable, even painful at times, but it is through this discomfort that we discover our true strength and resilience. The shadow also helps us to appreciate the light. Just as we cannot fully appreciate the beauty of a sunny day without experiencing the darkness of night, we cannot fully appreciate our own goodness without acknowledging our capacity for darkness. By integrating our shadow, we bring balance to our lives. We become more whole, more complete, more fully human. Imagine your life as a symphony. Each part of you, both light and shadow, is an instrument in this grand orchestra. The shadow, often misunderstood, plays a crucial role. It adds depth, complexity, and richness to the music of your life. Without the shadow, the symphony would be incomplete. It would lack contrast, texture, and emotional resonance. The shadow, with its deep resonant tones, provides the counterpoint to the lighter, brighter melodies of our lives. When we embrace our shadow, we allow all parts of ourselves to be heard. We create a more harmonious and beautiful symphony of self. This integration of our shadow is a lifelong journey. There will be times when the shadow threatens to overwhelm us, when the darkness seems all-encompassing. But even in those moments, we must remember that we are not our shadow. We are the conductors of our own symphony, and we have the power to choose how we will integrate the shadow's melody into the grand composition of our lives. How do we begin to befriend our shadow? How do we integrate something we've spent a lifetime avoiding? The first step is awareness. We must shine a light on the parts of ourselves we've kept hidden, acknowledge their presence, and understand their origins. Start by paying attention to your reactions. What triggers anger, jealousy, or resentment within you? What behaviors in others evoke strong negative feelings? Often these reactions are mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves we've disowned. Journaling can be a powerful tool for self-discovery. Write down your dreams, your recurring thoughts, your impulsive behaviors. Look for patterns and recurring themes. What are these experiences trying to tell you about yourself? Remember, the goal is not to judge or criticize yourself for having a shadow. Everyone has one. The goal is to understand it, to learn from it, and to integrate it into your conscious awareness. Once we've begun to identify our shadow aspects, we can start to befriend them. This doesn't mean condoning negative behaviors or giving in to our darkest impulses. It means approaching these parts of ourselves with curiosity, compassion, and a willingness to understand. Imagine your shadow as a frightened child hiding in the darkness. This child is not inherently bad, but it is wounded and afraid. It needs your love and acceptance, not your judgment or rejection. Try talking to your shadow. Ask it questions. What are its fears? What are its needs? What is it trying to teach you? Listen with an open heart and a non-judgmental mind. Remember, the shadow is a part of you. It deserves your love and compassion just as much as any other part of yourself. By befriending your shadow, you create a space for healing and integration. Integrating our shadow is a journey, not a destination. It is a process of continual self-discovery and growth. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but the rewards are immeasurable. As we integrate our shadow, we become more whole, more complete, more fully human. We free ourselves from the limitations of our past and step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, compassion, and a deep commitment to self-awareness. But the rewards are well worth the effort. By embracing our shadow, we unlock our full potential for love, creativity, and joy. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We all have a shadow, and we are all in this together. By supporting each other, we can create a world where it is safe to be fully human, shadows and all. We have journeyed deep into the hidden world within, confronted our fears, acknowledged our imperfections, and discovered hidden wisdom. It takes courage to face parts of ourselves we prefer to keep hidden, but it is worth it. In embracing our shadow, we embrace the fullness of who we are. We become a symphony of light and dark, a tapestry woven from our strengths and vulnerabilities. This is wholeness, the integration of all aspects of ourselves. It is not about achieving perfection, but embracing our humanity in all its messy, complicated glory.